Welcome to Hood Champion Boxing and Sports. In boxing, you find a way to win, or you find a way to lose, man. Tszyu, path to championship glory, going to be very steep. Can he do it? I don't know. It's possible, but I'll be honest with you, I don't know, man. I still believe it's Aussie, Tszyu. But, man, Tszyu is in a bad spot, man. You know what I'm saying? Took a second loss to Sebastian Fundora. Got stopped. It's just not good, man. 3 losses in his last 4 fights. That's a big deal in boxing. I think what's really been carrying Tszyu is the last name. He's got a heart of a warrior. He will fight you. But I just think those losses have dented his momentum. In addition, those stoppages, right? They've done something to his confidence. But again, we got to understand, Tszyu wasn't fighting Erickson Lubin. He was fighting Fundora and Murtazalia. 2 big, tall guys, difficult styles. And Tszyu, people can say what they want. He's trash. Tszyu's a bum. He was just a local fighter, a celebrity in Australia because of his dad's name. As soon as he got up to the international stage, you saw that he wasn't able to cut it. Man, bullshit. Look at who he wasn't able to cut it against. First fight with Fundora. Tim truly, I think, deserved to win that fight, but it is what it is. The Murtazalia fight, nobody calls out Murtazalia, except for Tszyu. You got to put some respect on his name. Fought the wrong fight. He was going after him, just couldn't put a dent in him. Murtazalia destabilized him. Got in there, clipped Joey Spencer, then went against Fundora again. All the guts, looking for the glory. Fundora has grown into his size. He's gained a lot of experience now as a pro fighter, and Fundora and his team have finally been able to convince Fundora to fight smart, not hard. You have 12 inches there as far as his reach advantage for you perverts and shit. You got like a damn 12-inch reach advantage on everybody, and you're not using it. Now Fundora's using it, and you see it. It's damn near impossible to beat the man. And Fundora's strong, and he hits hard. Okay? But what I will tell you is, any fighter against Fundora is going to have difficulty dealing with that reach and the adjustments that Fundora makes during the fight. It's going to be difficult. But at the same time, I will say this. Tszyu was really, he was landing. I thought Tszyu, if he went one more round, he may have knocked Fundora out. But his corner felt he was taking too much damage. I think they jumped the gun. You let him push through the first fight with Fundora, hemorrhaging, blood just cascading into his eyes. But you come out here now, he gets touched up a little bit, and you stop the fight when Tszyu had probably the best round. What were they thinking? But again, they're probably afraid that he was going to take some permanent damage. But so Tszyu didn't quit the fight. His corner stopped it. But Tim wasn't, arguing with them either, because he was taking some damage. But I feel if he went one more round, he would have probably stopped Fundora. Anyway, man, his confidence and his durability coming into question because there's some people who are feeling that he's not talking the way he was talking before. Remember, he had the hit list. He had the 3 guys he clipped, Tony Harrison, I think Mendoza. He had somebody else on there. Then he was like Crawford, Jamel Charlo, and Boots Dennis or somebody. He had like Virgil Ortiz, I don't know. He had a T-shirt made. And you could just see that the confidence he once had, he doesn't have that anymore. But him rebuilding, he can do it. He's only 30 years old. So, rebuilding is a possibility. He has some things in his favor. Reinventing his style. Can somebody bring him back from the dead? Because that's what's happened to his career. There's no pulse. His career has been flatlined. But I think he has time to reinvent himself and to come back and rise from the ashes like the phoenix and make Australia proud again. He's got the fan base, he's got the promotional backing, he's got the last name. But if he's going to do it, he's got to do it in Australia. And look, he can go to Australia right now and keep fighting and make $1 million or so a fight. He can still do it. Because the guys down there, they can't beat him. You know what I'm saying? He can't do it. And if he goes back to Australia to fight, there's potential matchups like Michael Zarafa and the one individual here who's stateside who they can definitely bring over there. I don't think they want to do that right now. They probably do the Zarafa fight first. He knocks him out. Then they say Tszyu, go after Keith Thurman. But I'm just going to tell you, man, Keith Thurman could provide a very winnable chance for Tszyu. And it will be a very high-profile fight. And talk about the rebound that would result if Tszyu was able to clip Keith Thurman. You look at Earl Spence, Terrence Crawford, Danny Garcia, Sean Porter. None of them have a Keith Thurman feather in their cap. None of them. To this day, I can't understand why none of them fought Keith Thurman. But I know why, because they know Keith Thurman, especially in his prime, with that lateral movement and how powerful he was, they knew Keith Thurman was a problem. And Keith Thurman ain't a guy who's going to quit. They know these guys from the amateurs, man. They know what these guys bring to the table. And as a pro, styles make fights. Even Bomac said Keith Thurman would probably be the most difficult fight for Terrence Crawford. So there's something that they see and they know and understand that if you're fighting Keith Thurman, that's very high risk. Nobody's been able to clip him. Manny Pacquiao got to him, but many people felt Manny Pacquiao lost that fight. Just the first round knockdown kind of saved Pacquiao's ass. But that being said, man, additional comeback routes for Tszyu. I would like to see him fight Keith Thurman, I'll be honest with you. But I just think right now, if Keith Thurman hits him with something really, really hard and buzzes him, I think Tszyu's corner is not going to have the strength to sit back and watch Tszyu get bludgeoned. They're going to probably stop it. So maybe they just leave him alone. But, hey, other comeback routes, he could move up to middleweight. He's hinted at that before, but that was back when he was doing the business and getting wins and knocking people out. But it could help him avoid other opponents that could possibly make him miserable, like Fundora did, like Murtazalia did, and like most people feel Keith Thurman will do. Or he could just do, like I said, fight Zarafa, man. You know what I'm saying? It's a long-awaited grudge match. It could have really helped to reignite his career and for sure ignite really big numbers. And you could find him, being pulled out of Australia again to get back on the big international stage and be on the platform where he can make some good money. Turki Alalshikh isn't in a rush to bring Tszyu anywhere, but Turki Alalshikh is about making the best fights. And I think there's some time for Tszyu to help rebuild. But again, it's probably just going to start at home. You know what I'm saying? The regional titles, these sanctioning bodies have all this weird ass titles and shit. But if you can go and pick up some regional titles back out there in Australia and a few solid wins, next thing you know, he goes from the regional titles back to world title contention. And who knows, maybe he picks it up. But it's got to start here. He needs, in my opinion, a mental reset. I mean, we've all been through some trying times in our lives. And, having that mental reset, it does a lot for you. And I think Tszyu needs that. You can just see it in the ring that he still wants to fight. He still wants to go. But it's almost like he was saying, just put me out of my misery. He was trying his damnedest to land something on Fundora. And he was landing, but he didn't get the right punch on the button. And as a result, Fundora was able to stand up to him. Because in the last couple rounds before the fight was called off, Fundora slowed down big time. And he was doing like he always does, standing in front of his opponent with his hands down. And that's why I felt one more round, Tszyu may have dropped him. He may have dropped him, man. I mean, Tszyu was starting to really come on. He didn't look tired, but he just looked like a guy who was being broken down round after round after round. And I think Tszyu's heart is what kept him pushing because he was just getting touched and touched and touched and touched. Fundora cut him. He blasted again. Fundora's nose was all bloody. So Tim Tszyu made a very good representation for himself, in my opinion. But he came out and he said, look, man, I tried to give it everything. I just couldn't do it. Fundor's the better man. So he knows what he felt in that ring. We don't. And I just think, paired with his grit and his honesty, I think it suggests that he's not done yet. He's just, in my opinion, recalibrating. People need to understand when it come to a guy like Tim Tszyu, even if he wants to quit, he can't quit. You know what I mean? That man can still make huge money in Australia. Big money. So he's not going to go home and cry himself a river like Justin Timberlake. He's going to go home, chill out, probably pet one of his koala bears he got in the backyard and shit. And sit back, man, and say, you know what? What's my fucking name? And then next thing you know, he'll be fighting in 3 months, locally. And he'll do the business. But I think he's got to beat guys who are a little bit better than Joey Spencer. And maybe 3 or 4 of those guys, regional titles, and now he's back on the radar. And the really good thing about Tim Tszyu is he has that luxury of being able to go back to a country, an island, that loves him. And there's enough people on the island to where he can go out there and generate $1 million paydays. Fighting guys who are a tenth of the risk of guys like Fundor, Murtazali, Keith Thurman, and these other killers at 154. So Tim Tszyu, to me, it's a win-win for him. But for people thinking that Tim Tszyu hasn't made any money in boxing and he's going to keep fighting because he doesn't have money, hey, hold your horses. Let's stop taking it to the stupid. Tim Tszyu's made over $20 million in career earnings, and before he fought Fundor. So Tim Tszyu's made about $30 million. He made $10 million just for fighting Fundor that second time. So in case y'all didn't know, now you know. He has endorsements. He's partnered with Nike and David Jones, which brings him some income outside the ring. I already talked about being in Australia. He's a domestic draw, which I think they're not fighting on the zone if he was to fight somebody locally, but they probably do some pay-per-view out there, local pay-per-view, and can generate some money like that. So the comeback potential for Tim Tszyu is very big, man. He just has to string together some wins, especially in Australia, get the momentum going, attract that international interest again. And next thing you know, Tim Tszyu is right back in the driver's seat out here trying to do the business. So Saudi-level purses, I don't know if they're going to be any more Saudi-level purses, man. He's going to have to do something significant to really make Turki Alalshikh say, I want to work with him. When Turki Alalshikh said, I will not work with Tim Tszyu, let him do his way, he doesn't understand. That's what created a lot of the problems between Tim Tszyu's camp and Turki Alalshikh. Tim Tszyu withdrew from the scheduled fight on the Crawford versus Majima fight card due to a cut from the Fundor fight. So I don't know what they wanted Tim Tszyu to do, you know what I'm saying? Go fight with that cut that the doctor said, wasn't, healed to their satisfaction. So I think Turki wanted Tim to fight anyway. But it comes out now, Turki Alalshikh, who I think should be more professional, and kicks Tim Tszyu while he's down and talks about Tim Tszyu quitting on the stool in a rematch with Fundor and just saying he can be useful as a sparring partner for a champion in Riyadh season, and that I tell you Tim Tszyu doesn't deserve to be on any of our fight cards. And I was like, damn. Turki Alalshikh just blasted the Aussie, oi, oi, oi. He's literally the Saudi boss man threw sand in Tim Tszyu's eye. Absolutely crazy. But hey, this all derives from what Tszyu describes as mishandled negotiations, and now you see it from Turki Alalshikh as a lack of professionalism. But Tim Tszyu always said, look, I'd love to work with Turki Alalshikh. It is what it is. But, we'll see. Tim Tszyu, his team withdrawing him from the fight, even though I thought he performed with the heart of a champion. Doesn't matter. Those behind-the-scenes frictions with Turki Alalshikh may have, burned a bridge that Turki Alalshikh doesn't want to repair. But I don't know. In today's boxing landscape, I will say, if you burn a bridge with Turki Alalshikh, what Tim Tszyu's team may have done, and guys like Teofimo Lopez has done, I mean, it's a damn major setback. Hard to recover from that because Turki Alalshikh is running shit. We know when Turki's in the house every day, it's Thanksgiving. And Tim Tszyu better give thanks that at least he has the opportunity to go back to Australia and rebuild, and still make $1 million paydays. Where a lot of fighters, if you can't get on a Turkey Alalshikh fight card, you sit inactive. You don't make any money. Tszyu never has to leave Australia. He can fight 20 more times against 20, half-hearted type fights, and he will make probably $20 million, $1 million a fight easy, because he's Tszyu. Anyway, best of luck to Tszyu, man. The midst of glory, grit, and growing pains, and let's see if he can bounce back. Y'all keep cool. I'm in the breeze.